what's good with you? Back in black with another video. Something a little different for the channel. Today we are taking a look at Xdefiant, developed by Ubisoft, their newest upcoming original shooter, featuring developer Mark Rubin, who formerly made one of the greatest Call of Duties ever made. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to aim for that like button and shoot that subscribe button as well. It'll help you find better teammates and improve your skill-based matchmaking. Reason we're taking a look at this game today is because I was actually lucky enough to grab one of those codes and participate in their little public alpha test that they had last weekend. And I will say that this game was a lot more impressionable than I thought it was going to be initially from watching this trailer that you guys are also watching on the screen right now. I have jotted down my opinions and we will be going over them, the good, the bad, where I think they can improve, where I think they can innovate, and just my overall opinions of the game so far. Let's get into it. So just as a little prequel to my up-to-date thoughts about the game currently, initially when I saw this trailer that was revealed to us over a year ago, I couldn't help but think wow, this game looks kind of trash, and write it off entirely, because not only does the name Xdefiant not roll off the tongue, it's like mid to horrible at best. I hope they change it at some point before its release. And I look at that, it looks super cartoony, and it wasn't really sitting well with me when they said they were going for a punky aesthetic vibe as well. But nevertheless, fast forward to 2023 in February, and the only two shooting games that I can play on a consistent basis is Enlisted and Call of Duty. And I can't even play Call of Duty as much because they take forever between their content updates and it gets boring really fast. So essentially this game is looking to fill a void where Call of Duty has left me feeling a little soulless. Not only that, it only makes sense because they've been taking jabs at Call of Duty since this game's inception. I guess that makes sense considering that the head developer used to make Call of Duty a super long time ago. So I figured the least that I could do is give it a chance before writing it off entirely, especially if they're looking for feedback and the codes were free. I found them on Twitter. Most notably, when I jumped into the alpha playtest, I will say they toned down the punky quote-unquote steampunk aesthetic, or whatever you want to call it. It's not as bad as what they revealed in the trailer. The game looks very much so like The Division. It plays like Call of Duty mixed with Rainbow Six Siege, and it does indeed incorporate some elements of Overwatch as well, because the factions, which they talk so much about, and they all have special abilities, and you can kind of synergize with your team, if that makes any sense. For instance, let's say you're playing the push game mode where you gotta move the payload. Yes, they do have a payload game mode as well. You can basically gather around a blue faction member, the guy who has the shield. He'll use his ult, then everybody will basically stay in his little bubble that comes with a shotgun as well, and then you can have healers in there as well if you take any type of damage. It's very OP. And yeah, they got recon abilities as well. They have a health bar, and the health bar would make you think that the time to kill would be super long, but it's not that bad, especially if you aim for the head. You do a significant amount of damage in comparison to body shots. LMGs feel really good at long range. ARs feel really good at medium range, all around kind of gun. Some machine guns feel really good at close range. Shotguns can still one-shot kill if you hit them with most of the pellets. Snipers are really good for the one-shot chest or headshot kill. It's really good. The gunplay is really good. You can tell Mark Rubin has really had his hand in the pot, or brought over his expertise from his years of experience making Call of Duty, for lack of better words. And I will say, in my personal opinion, it does take a really long time to heal if you do take any damage and manage to run away or get around a corner and gotta sit there and heal. But overall, I would say it kind of plays like Black Ops 4 time to kill wise, if that makes any sense. As far as the maps, I will say what they have so far shows that they have great creativity and they know how to incorporate good amounts of variety in your gameplay as well. They will take you from places like a factory to places like an amusement park to places like a old western cowboy town. It's a lot of variety. I really like the aesthetic as well that they present with these maps. I will say they are built in a way that is very reminiscent of Overwatch because I did play a lot of the push game mode more often than not. I guess that's because they do kind of want to be a hero shooter in a sense, if that makes any sense, or I guess a faction shooter to be more precise. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're doing a great job with the maps. If you keep bringing that variety and maybe incorporate some larger game modes, um, because the only thing that I can really see them using this for is push, domination, and maybe team deathmatch. I think the more variety that you can offer players, the better the game will be, especially if you're trying to compete with Call of Duty, because Call of Duty brings a lot of variety for a lot of people, even if they may stretch themselves a little thin. But if you want to specialize, more power to you. I'm not the one making the game, just giving my impressions. Another way that this game really surprised me and kind of made me think that they struck that perfect balance between Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, and Overwatch is that teamwork will definitely help you stomp out one team versus another and can very well make the difference in a win or a loss. But at the same time, and this kind of leans into them being more Call of Duty leaning, teamwork isn't necessarily, always necessary to win a game. If you're really good at, shooting and mastering your faction, you can very well wreck the other team by yourself and just go on super long kill streaks. And in that sense, you will get that high that you would get back in the old days of playing good old Call of Duty. And, that just kind of comes from having good shooting game skill in general. But that, along with synergizing with your team and mastering your faction, whichever faction you are playing, you can really have a blast playing this game. Speaking of that, let me talk a little bit more about the factions. A good way to look at all the factions in this game is basically they are split by play style. The echelon or the blue people, you can think of them as more like defensive, juggernaut leaning, campy people. People who like to play defense or play the objective. You can think of the healers as like people who like to tank and basically go on super long kill streaks, because as soon as they kill you, they can heal themselves or heal allies nearby. Very OP, honestly, if I'm being completely honest. I think they will see a nerf before the game's released because they were super annoying, especially when everybody on the other team played as one of them. You got your recon faction, the people who like to flank and turn invisible and run around. And then, who was the last faction? I don't even know. But essentially, like I said, you can think of the factions kind of like play styles, if that makes any sense. So they have something for everybody, or at least, you can kind of tailor it to your wants and needs as you see fit. Another notable feature of this game that I would like to talk about is the attachment system. It's way better than Call of Duty's. It's a little more simplified, which I think is better overall. And they give you the stats so you know exactly what each attachment does and how much to, the percentage and whatnot, if that makes any sense as well. And yeah, you can really tailor your guns just as much as you tailor your faction and playstyle. I do want to circle back around and talk about the maps a little bit more. A lot of them seem to be made with a typical 3-lane, 2-story approach, which isn't necessarily a bad thing at all. It keeps it very simple, but still keeps it, fresh with a little bit of verticality and flanking routes in between the 3-lane approach as well. But another thing that I would like to see them do with these maps is maybe incorporate a little bit of destruction. That way we could have a little bit of a battlefield element as well. Maybe not make the entire map destructible, because that probably would be too much work on the developers or the engine, whatever the case may be. But just maybe a blown up wall here or there to create another pathway, or maybe being able to shoot out some cover eventually, depending on the type of gun and how much penetration power it has, or something like that. I don't know, but a little more dynamic, interactability with the maps would be nice. Maybe some weather effects as well. I didn't see any of that in the alpha, but I'm not going to hold that against them too much because it is an alpha. What else did I want to talk about? As far as my suggestions as other improvements, I would also say the controller play could use some work. I tried to use my controller for one game and it was a pretty bad experience. But again, I'm not going to hold that against them. This game is an alpha. I would like to see more ways to play the game as well. Like I said, some larger scale game modes would be nice. And then maybe, if the game gets big enough, they can incorporate some vehicles a little later on. I don't know. Maybe a battle royale mode would also be nice. This game does definitely facilitate it with the abilities and whatnot. What else would I say? This game really does need a ping system. A ping system would do wonders for this game. I was wishing that I could do that very often, especially considering the fact that during my play session, people were not talking that often. I mean, occasionally somebody would, type in the text chat, but it was really just to say GG, or, maybe somebody would complain. I will throw them another compliment. The UI is actually really nice. I enjoy especially the def cam. They do something really quirky that I've never seen them do before. Essentially, when somebody kills you, you can react to the def cam. So they will have basically 5 emotions from happy to sad to laughing or whatever the case may be. And essentially, when somebody kills you, if you like her, if you hate him or whatever, you can put the angry face. And if you get a bunch of those and you see 5 people kind of are mad at you, I guess you can essentially see the effect that you are having on people mid-game, which is also like a really nice inclusive feature that makes it way more interactable than I've ever seen a def cam be before in any other shooting game. So they are doing things that are very innovative. And speaking of that innovation, I will say that I really have high hopes for this game. I think what they're doing is very noble and very courageous, because trying to take on Call of Duty, or any game trying to take on Call of Duty, just seems to be something that nobody wants to do anymore. Battlefield kind of has gone by the wayside. Gears of War kind of used to be up there and they kind of fell off. And no other game really just seems to be in that lane, or even try to attempt to do bigger things than what we are getting served right now, which is a lot of mediocrity. But all in all, I just want to say I had a lot of fun during this playtest. I played it all weekend, and I honestly cannot wait for the next one. And yeah, Mark and everybody else there who is developing that game, you guys are doing a great job. Keep it up, and I can't wait to see what you guys put out there, because it's looking a lot better than I initially thought it was. Anyways, what do you guys think about this game? Let me know down in the comment section. Did you get a chance to play that playtest over the previous weekend like I did? If not, are you going to play the next one? Does this game look interesting to you at all? Just let me know. Share your thoughts down below. I do appreciate you for watching. Don't forget to aim for that like button and shoot that subscribe button as well. Hope you have a lovely day. Appreciate you for watching. Black Guy out.